February 14th, Valentine's Day. Woohoo. Well, somebody got a nice pair of alpaca socks, and somebody else got themselves a chameleon t shirt. Pretty sweet. And of course, the box of chocolates, which I sampled. Absolutely. We're sitting down here on a Monday looking at things, looking ahead for the week, and watching The Burbs, the greatest movie ever told or made. I don't know how you say it. The greatest story ever told. The greatest movie ever made. Just absolute, absolutely the best movie ever made, in my opinion, which is the only opinion that matters to me. There we go. There you go. It's I saw it in the theater shortly after it came out. It was a dollar theater, actually, so I guess it would have been maybe a few months. Either way, it was in the springtime. I was with my friend D, and him and I were looking for something to do, so we went to the movies at this newly opened dollar theater. And I loved it then, but through the years, I've loved it even more. It's it's about the character development. That is what makes a good book or a good movie. Once again, in my opinion. Why? Well, because you can have a great plot, but you can have horrible acting or horrible characters in a book. You can. Today it's all about visual effects. Boring. What you need is a good set of characters. Then they can carry anything through. I don't mean necessarily a good set of actors. People probably would instantly associate the Burbs with Tom Hanks, who I personally am not a fan of on any level, especially personal. Tom Hanks likes to use his status as a known person, as a famous person, to push his political agendas, which just utterly sickens me. I don't think that's a place. If you're in the entertainment business, then stick to entertaining. If you want to be in the political business, then be in politics. But you can't do both because you're using one to benefit the other, and people are impressionable. Is that Tom Hanks up there spouting his garbage, or is that Forrest Gump? Is that Private Ryan guy? You know, that's people. You make these comparisons, and I think that they're capitalizing on that to some degree. I don't think it's appropriate. Whatever the case, The Burbs is all about the characters, and none of them are above the others. They're all equal characters. They're all equal players in this. They all get their shot. Even the little boy has his moments. And so you can invest in one character or the other as the movie plays out and be completely entertained by them. Remember, that's all movies and books are, is entertainment. Don't ever let anybody tell you that there's a life-changing anything out there. It's all fiction, and it's all just something that you do when you have nothing better to do. I could never see myself being somebody that gets paid to review movies, watch movies, read books, blah, blah, blah. What a way to take the fun out of it. Read the book, watch the movie. Don't try to seek some higher place out of it. Now, as far as going back to that political statement that I made earlier, oddly enough, I said in the first video I wouldn't be making any political stands or anything like that, but you know, you can't help it. And that's really not a stand. It's just an opinion on who you should be and where you should be when you're doing something. And I think I think it's inappropriate. In about 1998, maybe 99, yeah, probably 99, I made this statement to a friend of mine, my best friend. we'll call him M. Oh, he couldn't disagree more. I wonder now if he would agree. I say that because we were much younger back then, and he didn't have a family or anything. He didn't have to look out for anybody. He didn't have to care about anybody but himself. And he's a big movie buff and loves to be entertained, loves to pick movies apart even. And I think that that was a very unpopular opinion, or maybe I was just a little bit ahead of my time with that statement, because now I see it all the time. I even see other famous people saying about famous people, knock it off. And but they're far and few in between. But whatever the case, now M, he had been my best friend since the tail end of our 12th grade year in high school. We had known each other all of our lives pretty much, but we were never tight. We had hung out on occasion, but we just never were really very close. That relationship started our senior year, and it went on in through college and after college and so on and so forth. It was a great time. I remember my first memory of him, or our first true interaction. He had these Star Trek walkie-talkies, and this was second grade. Now, I didn't get cool things like that. We were a very middle-class family, and something like that would have been maybe a Christmas present at best, not just some thing that I could bring to school in the springtime to show off to my buddies and have fun with. Anyways, they didn't seem to be working correctly. Probably one of two things: either they were out of range and we were playing with them, or he had batteries in them that were low. Who knows? But and he wasn't the most generous person with his objects and his toys either. He let a select few touch him or play with them, but he always seemed to have something cool. And I talked him into letting me look at them because I told him I was an electronics expert. Now, this is second grader. And that I could probably fix them. And he said, okay. And we went inside the classroom. And I took the batteries out, and I can't remember if I took the back off of one of them or not. There was an adjustable pot or something on exposed. I seem to remember turning a screw a little bit and putting the batteries back in each one, and we tested them out in the classroom, and they were really loud and clear. And he was like, "Oh, you fixed them." So we went outside to play with them, and of course the bell rang and recess was over, so I never got to have that time. I also saw him later on, maybe that year, maybe a year later. He lived next door to some people from our church. We were over there for a dinner of some sort, and I was outside, and across the alley there he was, and I couldn't believe how many toys he had. He had Tonka trucks and everything else out in the yard, and I simply just was blown away about how much entertainment this kid had. And he had this little probably styrofoam or balsa wood plane, I don't know, and it had the two wings on it, and he said, "Hey, look, it's a biplane." And he thought he was really funny. He would throw it and he'd say, "Biplane." And that was really my earliest memories of him. And we again, going into elementary school, going into middle school, we saw each other, made jokes, sat somewhere near each other in class, that kind of thing, mutual friends. But we weren't tight, we weren't close. We were just guys, kids, whatever. And I think that what brought us together was, oh, geez, I don't even know. Maybe, maybe it had something to do with we were both. Wow, I honestly. Maybe it was drama club. That's very possible that that's what it was. But then again, I really can't say. Or maybe it was a computer club. This is high school, and so I was essentially done with high school. Even my senior year, I really didn't have anything to do class wise. Spent a lot of time in clubs, and in the during lunch hour, I would do the same thing every day. I would go down, take my $2. That's what I was given for lunch money, and the hamburger and fries and drink meal at the cafeteria came to $2, or probably 1.95 or something. Who knows what it was. And I would do the same thing every single day. I had been taught to it. I had been taught it by a friend. I think it was my friend C, and they had these giant chocolate chip cookies, big flat round cookies wrapped up in the plastic wrap, and I followed his lead, and if you grabbed one of those and then you held your tray and you held it underneath your tray, then the cashier didn't see it. So every day I had the same thing: hamburger, fries, whatever sides came with that, and a cookie strapped under my tray illegally, and so on and so forth. Then I would go to the computer lab, and there'd be a group of us in there playing video games. The teacher was very cool about that. Opened it up for lunchtime. And I remember they were all Commodore 64 computers, and the most popular game was a game called Beachhead. But later on in life, and that's where we started hanging out, I think, there was a game called Zork, and it was a text-based game, and you basically were given a scenario and a question as you adventure along. You're in a cave and you see an old torch. Do you light it or do you ignore it because it might be a trap? That kind of thing. And depending on the answer you gave, it guided the story. I had my own Commodore at home that I had just gotten for Christmas a couple years before, and I was trying to make my own version of that game. I was writing the code. Of course, back then we had BASIC, and everything we wrote was in BASIC, and that's a computer language. And I got some progress on it, but it was hard to do it, and to back it up, to record it, was impossible because all I had was a cassette drive. An actual cassette drive where you put the cassette in and record your program code onto a cassette. Took forever to load, and 9 times out of 10 it didn't even load properly or save properly. Anyways, we started playing that in the evening. I don't know why or how the teacher let us stay in there so late, but we would stay in there and play that game, and that was going to be actually oh man, that's a tough one. Maybe that was my junior year actually, because I remember I had my 74 Duster. That was what I was driving. But then there were some other people that joined us in there, and we had a good time playing and doing our thing, and then I started taking him home at night. He didn't have a car at that point or anything, and I think that probably got the ball rolling. And then we found ourselves hanging out together at lunchtime after school. Him and I both had a growing love for alcohol at that point. He was my main experiment buddy when it came to consuming alcohol. I had a friend prior to that we did that too, but he had moved on. So M was around, and we were doing our thing and going to the occasional party or just usually hanging out at his place with a few other friends. I remember we had some Miller Genuine Draft once, and another friend was showing us, well, he's showing us by demonstrating it and doing it and catching us, where you take your bottle and you smack it on top of somebody else's, and it makes it all foam up and everything. And my fun with Mark continued because we were in the drama club together. Well, actually, I don't think he was ever a member. He just showed up for the practices for something to do. I was in the club. I was actually in the play, and I played the Goblin King from The Hobbit. But he was there, and my part wasn't very. It was small. And so I spent a lot of time there because I really loved being there, because it was A, out of my house, B, with friends, and C, doing something I'd never done before. So we're having a good time. And we made some more mutual friends doing that, and we had a good, it was just all fun. Now this is the 80s, and of course everything in the 80s was fun. It wasn't all sour and doomed like it is today. Everything was based on fun. Fun first. Anyways, we went, and we were sitting outside, and I remember he had a 32-ounce Pepsi, and he offered me a sip of it, and I took a sip of it, and I knew there was alcohol in it. There was a girl sitting there with us too. I don't even remember who. And she too took a sip of it. That was it. And the next night, I get to play practice, and I go in the doors. Now this is after school, of course. Probably, school got out at 3:30, 4 o'clock, whatever. It was probably 6 o'clock that this kind of stuff started. And I went in and was told to sit in the gym by whomever, and went in the gym, and there was everybody in there from the entire cast and crew of the play sitting in the gym. And I was like, what's up, and nobody knew, and if they knew, they weren't saying. So whatever the case, I sat there, didn't have any idea that anything was wrong, and they started calling us in one by one. And I think word had gotten out at that point, before, when it was my turn, that this had to do with someone being drunk at drama club. And I went in, and it was the vice principal and the drama club coach, director, supervisor, whatever it's called, who was also our English teacher. And they looked right at me and they said, Mike, we know you did it. And I said, did what? And they said, you brought the alcohol. Everybody knows it's you. Everybody knows that you're that kind of person. Everybody knows that you're the one that likes to drink. So we know it's you. And A, I didn't even really have a clue why I was there. And B, I really had nothing to do with it. And the most I did was took a sip just to sample it, because if I remember right, he was just getting into the Bacardi years. And I didn't like it. Not that I was against having it or even having it there. I just hadn't participated on that particular night in any way, shape, or form other than that sip. Anyways, I just flat out denied it, and they sent me home. I'm not sure what they did with the rest of the people, and so I think I ended up getting together with some of my other friends next door. My other friend R, who had moved away, had actually returned at that point, lived about 2 doors down from the high school. So I went over there and we just did our thing, whatever. And I was this big investigation ensued, and I was told that I would be punished for it, and I would have to apologize and be suspended and all of this stuff. And I stood by my denial of the events, and ultimately ended up in front of the school superintendent with my mom, and flat out denied it there. And he said, well, whether you did it or not, we don't have any proof that anybody did. All we have is rumors, and the show must go on. So it was kind of dropped, but I was forever resentful after that. That was a case of guilty, assumed guilty, or, innocent till proven guilty, the opposite of that. Anyways, sometimes, I lose my train of thought a little bit because I am trying to free flow this. I'm trying to do this completely unrehearsed, uninterrupted. If you hear a mouse click, that means it's edited. You will not hear a mouse click if I can help it. The phone might ring, kid might come in, something like that, and that's unavoidable. But whatever the case, I was presumed guilty. So I was resentful after that, and at that point in time, I made another friend, E, we'll say his name is, because it was. I'm just giving the first initial because, this is going to be on YouTube, and I don't really want to name names or anything, although I think it'd be fairly harmless. But you never know. Anyways, and you know what? Screw it. I think I'll just say the first name. Whatever. I see a lot worse. Anyways, Eric and I were really... we actually had seen each other, and he was a year behind me in class, in age. But, and we had nothing in common, or so we thought. And he was actually... I was the Goblin King, and he was like the Goblin Assistant or something in the play. He was actually in the play. And I was singing a Motley Crue song to myself. I was singing, something like, we need a lover tonight, something like that, I think it was. And he came up to me and said, that is a great song. And I said, well, yeah, it is. It had been out for a good year or two at that point, I'm guessing. And but it was a good album. Wasn't anything classic, but it was good. And we were talking and everything, and because I had been so resentful, I said, well, I'm going to go outside and have a shot. And he's, what do you mean a shot? And I said, well, I remember opening my jacket up and showing him inside my pocket, my inside pocket, which was always my number one priority when buying a coat. It has to have an inside pocket so you can conceal things. Anyways, I showed him I had a pint bottle of Southern Comfort. And we went outside, and I had a little bit, but he didn't. And I think that was probably just more to be cool kind of a thing. But we were quickly becoming very good friends, and I ended up over at his house just a day or two later, and we were making costumes for our characters. And one thing led to another, and before you know it, we were just best friends. But he already had a group of friends, and they were his age. It's only a year, but that's still an entire class worth of time. And so I didn't fit in quite so well. They kind of regarded me as, I don't know, I think they looked at me as one of those people trying to be a big shot from the movies. There's always the antagonist jock or smart kid or somebody, and because they're older, they can get away with it. It was nothing of the sort in my mind, but it's how they perceived me. Anyways, we spent a lot of time together after that, and but the other friend, I spent a lot of time with him, and so we kind of all ended up being together. I just had this nice group of friends, And at some points, there were, 12, 15 of us, sometimes only two or three. But it was always fun. It was always lighthearted, never any drama or fights or people doom and gloom or, oh, I hate my life or any of this other stuff. It was just fun. And yes, a lot of it revolved around adult beverages, but it would have been fine just without. We didn't have a lot of money between us. Come to find out, my other friend M or Mark was actually. I looked at him as a spoiled child when we were younger because he had so many cool toys, and he had actually lost his dad at a young age, and he had his single widowed mother raising him and two other siblings, and I think she just devoted herself to trying to make sure that their lives were as happy and solid as possible. He was a pretty well-rounded individual, and always on the upbeat side of things, and always had a good joke, always having fun. His mom got a almost new Ford Tempo our senior year, and we spent a lot of time skipping school or driving around in that. And that was a really good time too. I remember we were at this Lutheran church, and it had a big long driveway, and he drove up that driveway really fast and then slammed it in reverse and drove it backwards as fast as that car would go. Truth be told, it scared me a little bit, but looking back, he was really in control. Try and watch The Burbs as many times as you can in your life. You pick something new up every single time. It just, the characters, every one of them has something about them, and a line and an action. It's just so well executed as a movie. Anyways, the play. We ended up doing the play. There were some memorable rehearsals, like when I was supposed to say my line. I was supposed to get up on what was supposed to be a rock, which was like this wooden platform, and it was a full costume, full dress rehearsal, probably 1 or 2 nights before the actual show, and we were supposed to get up there and say our lines, and I don't know, curtain closes or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I stepped up there, and now I was a big kid, but not. I mean, I was probably 195, 200 pounds. So I wasn't a terrible amount, and Eric was probably 150 or so, 160. He was nothing. He was taller than me, but much thinner. And we fell through it. It just, the top crumbled on the thing, and we fell through, and it made this big loud crash. And I just busted up laughing. I got in trouble for that. You're not supposed to break character. You're not supposed to let the show come back to reality. And I just couldn't help myself. I was just rolling on the stage floor laughing because here we had just busted through this thing. And anyways, I think we were doing like double or triple rehearsals at that point or something. She sent us off the stage and said, "Be ready." Okay, and we were in full costume, and we're hungry. So we start wandering around the school, thinking, maybe we'll find a quarter or something, I don't know, for the vending machine. I have no idea what we were thinking. We were wandering around the school, and here's the home ec room. It's locked. Well, that's okay. So we'll figure out a way to... The classrooms then had the window above the door, and you could open and close the window, I guess, for some sort of ventilation into the room. And so the window was open, so I lifted Eric up onto my shoulders. He slithered through the window, dropped down, unlocked the door. We went inside. We left the door hanging open, though, dummies, because right inside the classroom was a refrigerator. And we opened it up, and we're completely raiding this this refrigerator, and I remember I had a chicken leg in one hand and a sandwich in the other or something. And we hear this screeching voice, "Where are they? Where are they? Where are they at?" And we're in the dark. The hallway is lit. We're in the dark with the door hanging open and the refrigerator light blaring right at us, our hands full of food, in full Hobbit costume. And she stops. There she is, our teacher, our director. What? And she's just completely blown away. In fact, she was so blown away and probably embarrassed by what we were doing that she didn't even punish us. She didn't make us apologize or anything. We were caught red-handed, busted, and I think she probably couldn't even believe what she was seeing. I don't know. She's still alive. I should ask her. I should call her up and ask her. If she remembers, it would be hilarious. Why didn't you bust us? So we ended up going into the band room, and we were in our costumes, which we had been touching up, and we had painted all of these runes all over the place, like, the Led Zeppelin 4 album cover runes or something out of The Hobbit or a book or something, and we'd done it in red. I don't know what kind of paint it was. Maybe it was model paint for a car, for the little model cars, acrylic or something. I don't know. And so we're sitting in there waiting to be busted or called out. I think she'd said, "You just sit right here and you don't go anywhere," or something like that. And this paint ends up getting smeared on something. The carpet, maybe. I don't know. And she calls us out to our roll. We go out and do our thing and go home. And the next day, of course, I'm called in. "Why did you vandalize the band room?" What are you talking about? I didn't vandalize anything. Somebody took paint in there and vandalized it. There's red paint everywhere. Well, it wasn't me. Why would I do that? I didn't do that. It has nothing to do with me. Again, now I wasn't actually making the connection at the time. I think I did maybe a few minutes or hours later that it had come off of our costumes, but I certainly wasn't going to come clean. I'd already had enough trouble and false accusations over the over bringing alcohol to drama club and getting everybody drunk. That was the actual statement. Getting several people drunk. Quite honestly, Mark had one drink, and it was a 32-ounce Pepsi, and probably had all of 2 shots of alcohol in it, which isn't enough to do anything to anybody. It was, once again, just something to do because it was the 80s. And so I was already angry about that. And, of course, fearful that I might get kicked out of the club. I suppose I was on some sort of probation or parole as it was. And so I denied it, adamantly denied it, and was supposed to write a letter to the band teacher saying, "I'm sorry, if you want to stay in drama club, you're going to write the letter." Fine, I'll write the letter. "Dear Miss whatever, sorry. Signed." There you go. I wouldn't go into detail about it or anything else. And now this is a time, I remember it was mid-spring, and I was riding my bike to school every day. I had a 10-speed, and I was always trying to see how fast I could get in from my house to the school. Now, we lived, a few miles out, and I could cruise. I could go really fast. And I did. Now and I'd always do the same routine every morning. Go to the little grocery store, get a quart of milk and a custard-filled donut, and go to school and eat them. That particular morning, I was doing so, and eating my donut, drinking my milk, and my teacher comes out and she says, "Well, somebody else is apparently did the paint thing, spilled paint, did something. We realized it wasn't you, and we're sorry. Okay. That was the end of it. You know, her and I butted heads during that little stretch of time in that drama club, but she had been one of my favorite teachers, and looking back now, she still is one of my favorite teachers. I have nothing in common with her. She's politically and morally kind of way off my spectrum, but we got along great as teacher and student. I know that. I had a great time with her. And I have talked to her since on many occasions, and I really did like her. I really looked up to her in many ways. And anyways, so the show went on. Ultimately, it was a success, I guess, as far as plays go in high school in small towns. But anyways, it was a fun time. I'm still watching The Burbs here. Can't play it too loud because I don't want YouTube to pick up on it and then hit me for copyright violation, something like that. In which case the video would get canceled. But I've got the visual in the background going, and it's such a good movie. It reminds me a lot of that my first year of college, because that's when I watched it in the theater with my friend D, who I said D earlier, but it's Dennis, and because it was springtime there at the same time of year, kind of a deal. Warm outside, but not hot. But every day is just perfectly mild, 77, 80 degrees, maybe 82, just in that little pocket. It rains one night, and the streets stay wet for a while. The grass is green, but nothing's fried yet from the heat, and it's just an all-around perfect time of the year. And we were in college together, and neither one of us was overly interested in college. Of course, who is their first year? Only a handful of people, but anyways, we would spend our afternoons always looking for something fun to do. I remember one time a Little Caesars pizza place was opening way, way, way across town, but they were giving out free pizza. We drove across a city. That's can be as many 15, 20 miles. And we drove all the way over there. Oh, maybe, yeah, it could be that far. To just have free pizza, which was great, because it was free. And then we met some other friends, and he showed us how to sneak into hotels to go swimming. And so we would make the rounds doing that, go hit pools, and just having a good old time. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Quick note on the games that I play. It is called Age of Empires. There are several editions of the game. But what I like about the game is I can just jump in. There will be other people playing. Maybe some of them I know their names, maybe some of them I don't. Strangers, whatever. But there are scenarios and maps you can just jump into and play. The average game can take anywhere from 20 minutes to maybe an hour. And it's just a really fun way to have a little bit of time where you just jump in. It's a nice breather. If you're sitting at your desk anyways, you get in, you play it, you pass a little bit of time. You don't save the game. The game is over when it's over, when there's winners and losers. And you just move on to the next game, whatever. Everybody's fairly equal, and it's kind of a skill-based thing ultimately. And so if you're good at it, you're good, and if you're not, you're not. And you get made fun of. But either way, it's a fun time. And as you can tell, I do try to set the audio on my recordings to match the time of a game. start to finish, so that there's always something to look at in case you do want to look. And with that in mind, I think at 40 minutes on this one, I'm going to wrap it up. I just can't, I don't have anything else on my mind right now. Let me look here and, I think we're just going to wrap this one up and find a video there, find a game video that matches up in length and put those out there and call it good. All right, till next time.